A friendly chit-chat. Before Russian President Vladimir Putin and his North Korean host Kim Jong Un signed an agreement that is likely to worry the West and have global consequences. United by massive and strict sanctions imposed by the US-led West, the two leaders on June 19 entered into a pact that includes a clause requiring the countries to come to each other's defense if either is attacked.
조로 사이의 포괄적인 전략적 동반자 관계에 관한 조약이 체결됨으로 하여 우리 두 나라 관계는 정치와 경제, 문화, 군사 등 여러 방면에서의 호상 협력 확대로서 두 나라의 진보와 인민들의 복리 증진을 이룩할 수 있는 보다 훌륭한 전망적 발전 궤도 위에 올라서게 되었습니다.
По итогам подписан новый межгосударственный договор о всеобъемлющем стратегическом партнерстве. Это касается политической, торгово-инвестиционной, культурно-гуманитарной области, а также в сфере безопасности.
While the details of what Putin called a breakthrough deal were not immediately clear, it could, as some experts suggest, mark the strongest connection between Moscow and Pyongyang since the end of the Cold War. The bonhomie between the two leads was at full display as Kim Jong Un addressed Putin as the dearest friend of the Korean people, and the Russian president in turn thanked North Korea for consistent and unwavering support. Putin last visited Pyongyang in 2000 as a newly elected president. Now, nearly a quarter of a century on, he has returned as he faces isolation from the West, especially after Russia's invasion of Ukraine more than 2 years ago. Observers see this as the Russian president's way of sending a dual message, one to the West that Russia isn't alone, and second, to other Asian countries that Moscow is an important player in the region. Apart from the geopolitical messaging, the deal could also boost Putin's war chest. The agreement has been signed as Putin faces an apparent desperation to secure ammunition to support Russia's war in Ukraine. Observers suggest that the deal could also have a clause facilitating an official weapons transfer from Pyongyang to Moscow, something the West has long been fearing. Before the defense pact was signed, Putin thanked Kim for North Korea's support in Ukraine, which Kiev's Western allies might see as a confirmation on Moscow's part of receiving weapons from Pyongyang despite sanctions.
Высоко ценим последовательную и неизменную поддержку вами российской политики, в том числе на украинском направлении, имея в виду нашу борьбу с навязанной на протяжении десятилетий гегемонистской политикой со стороны, империалистической политики со стороны Соединенных Штатов и их сателлитов в отношении Российской Федерации.
Putin also warned that Russia and North Korea will not tolerate what he called Western blackmail that comes in the form of sanctions. He said Russia and Korea have an independent foreign policy and do not tolerate the language of blackmail and diktats. Kim has used similar language in the past, consistently saying North Korea supports what he describes as a just action to protect Russia's interests and blaming the crisis on the US-led West's hegemonic policy. For the North Korean leader Kim, Putin's visit and the deal comes at a time of heightened tensions along the demilitarized zone separating the two Koreas, with reports of North Korean soldiers fortifying defenses and South Korean soldiers again firing warning shots to ensure they stay on their side of the border. South Korea sees this as a blatant attempt by North Korea to fully exploit Russia's need for further military support, suspecting it of trying to secure, in return, not only advanced space rocket technology, but also an economic boost after decades of crippling sanctions by way of trade emigration of North Korean workers. Last September, Putin hosted Kim at a cosmodrome in Russia's Far East as North Korea works on developing a technology to put a spy satellite into space. In addition to security, Putin said the current partnership includes cooperation in political and humanitarian fields, while adding that Russia would not rule out developing military technical cooperation with North Korea under the deal. According to the Kremlin's website, they also signed an agreement on building a road bridge on their border, and another on cooperation in health care, medical education, and science. The last time two countries signed a treaty was in 1961 when North Korea entered into a pact with then Soviet Union. The treaty, experts say, necessitated Moscow's military intervention if North came under an attack. The deal was discarded after the collapse of the USSR, replaced by a pact in 2000 that offered weaker security assurances. Considering the huge geopolitical implications of Putin's visit as the US-led unipolar world order witnesses a shift, the world is closely watching the trip. In Washington, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken said Putin's visit to North Korea illustrates how Russia tries, in desperation, to develop and to strengthen relations with countries that can provide it with what it needs to continue the war of aggression that it started against Ukraine. Koo Byung-sam, spokesperson of South Korea's Unification Ministry, which handles inter-Korean affairs, said the Seoul government was still interpreting the results of the summit, including what Russia's response might be if the North comes under attack. Another country keeping a close eye on the developments is China, which has strong ties with both countries. China is North Korea's biggest ally and economic lifeline, accounting for most of the country's trade. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian said high-level exchanges between Moscow and Pyongyang are bilateral arrangements between two sovereign states, without giving a specific assessment of the agreements. As Putin continues to court his neighbors as an alternative power bloc to the West, experts see current trip as a good way to make the West nervous by demonstrating Moscow has interests and clout beyond Ukraine.